Hello there and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at a band that was presented to me through Discord, link in the description, which is, the name of the band is Otyken, or Otyken, please tell me the proper pronunciation, and this is Can Blues. The thing is this, allegedly they are a combination or a fusion between traditional ethnic instrumentation and songwriting skills from Siberia, if I recall correctly, with modern instruments and with a little bit of pop music-oriented production techniques. One thing, before anything else happens, I usually look at these kind of fusions as gimmicky. I gotta tell you that. Why? Because there are many examples of this being tried before and not necessarily speaking working correctly. But in this case, we will see if it works. So let's rock and roll. Here we go. But before we go, if this is your first time channel, I welcome you because here we analyze the music that we love from the perspective of an active musician and professional music producer, but using language that everybody can understand. With that being said, let's rock and roll, and here we go. Okay, so here we go, Can Blues by Otyken. Okay, sorry for interrupting, but you know the drill. First and foremost, what the hell was even that? That was different, I gotta say. Should I consider myself culturally enriched? I don't know. But all jokes aside, this is actually extremely well crafted. The singing is fantastic, I gotta tell you right out of the bat. She's a gifted singer. I love the way that she is applying this beautiful texture to her voice. Making it a little bit more rougher sounding while keeping it extremely feminine and playful, which keeps the energy of the track, don't you think? And it's kind of exciting and fun because the vibe of this track, at least, it's that exciting and fun. Then, talking about the vocals, when they introduced this guy's voice going super, super low, the lowest octave I think we can reach as human beings, because his register is super low. And it's funny to see that, although it's fun is not the word, it's interesting to see that this is a variant of this particular guttural kind of style of singing. That it's, there is an equivalent to this in Tibet, which is the one that they use, they can produce two notes at the same time. If you don't know what I mean, look for Tibetan chanting. And you're going to be amazed. It's very, very incredible the way that they manage to produce two sounds at the same time, similar to what you would do with a keyboard. Or a guitar, for that matter. But in this case, this guy is using the lowest register possible, which makes me think of the music coming from traditional bands from, what's the name? Genghis Khan, of course, Khan Blues, Mongolia. Because this band coming from Siberia, the proximity and you can see that there might be some form of cultural equivalent to, or a morphing kind of event or a situation that allows for a particular technique to change based on the geographical location, okay? Yeah, that's amazing. I like it a lot, and it's very difficult to do. Because I once met a guy here working in the studio. I was producing a death metal band, for that matter. And one of the guys that they brought in for that production, he was a guest in one of the songs as a singer. Well, as a guttural singer, of course. But he was actually trained on being able to do the dual vocal thing that I explained to you, the Tibetan approach to it. And he was very good at it. He kind of taught me how to do it, but of course, I'm much more of a rock and roll singer. I didn't manage to pull it off because it's a completely set of skills, completely different set of skills, if you know what I mean. Okay, enough rambling about singing. The next thing, that solo, that was fun, that was amazing, that was simple, yet effective. And I don't know how they did it. I watched the video and they are using a boss pedal, but it's not necessarily speaking a blues driver. I would have picked that one. If you don't know what a blues driver is, this one. Makes total sense because even the sound of that pedal is kind of distortion driven. And it gives you that grittiness. And in the video they do the whole mimicry of one of the girls, the one that plays that instrument. Please tell me the name of that instrument. Plugged into the pedal, similar to what you would do with an electric guitar. And the thing is this, you can do that. Because I can assure you that these girls are using piezoelectric pickups on their instruments that allows them to be electrified. I'm not going to go down into the nitty-gritty of what that means from a technological perspective, but in simple terms, it's how an electroacoustic guitar works, okay? And it's using vibration rather than the magnetic field. Very different technology, that's why they are great for acoustic instruments. So, you can plug that guy in between your native instrument, I don't know the name of that instrument, and your amplifier, producing a sound similar to that one. But I think there is a little bit of production tricks behind the sound that we heard, because I could hear a little bit of a synthesizer underneath the main instrument, and even a little bit of an electric guitar. Is that removing the fun out of this? No, of course not. It's just sound reinforcement. It's just to make it feel much more impactful and dramatic, for that matter. Now, I was trying to drive your attention towards the great utilization of those ethnic instruments, because you got this percussive kind of guitar, sitar, wherever sound that it's very dry sounding. By dry, I mean that it's like puk, puk. And it's almost like Wiro, if that makes sense to you, if you know what that means, or a tambourine, because it's adding extra elements, extra rhythmical elements rather than harmonic, keeping the motion and the movement and the excitement of the track going. See, even myself right now, I feel a little bit pumped because of how exciting and fun the track is. Now, talking about rhythm, of course, we got this 4 to the floor, consistent, super low end that we will be discussing once we hit the mixing stage or the mix analysis of the review. It's super techno-like sounding. And I can see this track being even great for a DJ remix, because it has plenty of moments that could be greatly used for something like that, like a techno remix. If there is one, let me know, because I would be interested to see if somebody already did the math thing that I'm just saying. So, without further ado, let's listen to the rest of the track, and then when I come back to you, we will be analyzing the sound of this mix together. Here we go. she's a great singer. That last section was fantastic. Beautiful performance. Again, her voice is playful, feminine, and when she added that roughness to her voice was mean, but still remaining feminine. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Me being a singer, I usually pay attention to those kind of details because it was amazing. I love how she's able to control and move through the different notes that she's singing correctly. I couldn't hear any form of fixing or doctoring on her voice when it comes to the pitch, like the dreaded autotune. But that's very common nowadays, especially when dealing with something pop-oriented such as this track. But I couldn't detect it. And yes, you can hear it. And sometimes it's so obvious that it's almost disrespectful. But in this case, I couldn't detect it. And if they used it, was almost to nothing. Because she's excellent. I gotta tell you that. Her technique is flawless. Now, speaking of the vocals, and now getting a little bit on the more production side of things. Her voice is very properly mixed. Because she's clearly the star of this show. Her and the sound of the sitar, electric sitar with distortion, okay? But in this case, her voice had plenty of effects that when she's by herself in the mix, you can hear it. You can hear them. But when the entire monstrosity of the mix kicks in, they blend beautifully in the background, creating this nice texture and making everything feel put together. One of the effects is delay. And in this case, I think they were using something similar to this. Delay. As you could hear, my voice repeated itself from side to side in a ping-pong kind of affair. But it wasn't that clearly in your face, and it kind of had this little kind of roll-off on the high end, making it feel a little bit darker and a little bit more on the backdrop. There are clear moments in which they truly pushed that effect to the forefront because it added the extra, this extra level of emotion and excitement, especially to bring in the voice of the singer, of the male singer. Please tell me the name of both. Fantastic. Both of them are excellent because that super low register thing is hard as balls. I can't do it myself, and I have huge respect for people who are able to do that. So both of them are properly mixed. Her voice actually also has plenty of an effect that is known as compression. It's difficult to hear, but I could even see the needle moving on the VU meter. Something like this, okay? Similar to what you're seeing right now in front of you. Because she is clearly a loud singer. And whenever those huge notes were hit, I could see the compressor controlling the dynamics, but in a beautiful way. You cannot necessarily feel it. You don't feel it. Oh, sorry, you don't hear it. You feel it. The voice sounds controlled, projected, and it's just a way to support her vocals. It's not them playing tricks on you. It's actually the most common thing in the universe. Plenty of things, and I can assure you that everything in the mix was compressed at any given point, and it shows. The mix sounds fantastic. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the screen now. Over here we got Decibel, our favorite tool when it comes to analyzing music through the use of a visual medium. First, we're going to be taking a look at this section of the analyzer, which is the frequency range analyzer, which is showing us through the use of this white line how loud each of the different frequencies that are part of the frequency range that is possible to be heard by a human being, starting at 20 all the way down to 20,000 hertz. Under 20 is subsonic, above 20,000 supersonic, and we cannot hear anything under 20 and above 20,000. Now, as I said in the introduction, this mix sounds loudly. This is a loud mix, but it makes sense because it's a fun, exciting, and yeah, just for the laughs. And in this case, we got a huge low end, something that I wasn't expecting, but not surprised, being very frank, because this is a very modern production, and since it has this techno bit to it, of course we gotta have this gigantic low end. And it's fun to say that because the bass line, it's not necessarily that low end heavy. But it makes sense because in the context of the mix, once the kick drum kicks in, goddamn, that's a huge kick drum. I listened to this bad boy here in my bigger system with a subwoofer. It's a good system, I gotta tell you. And I was surprised with how low-ended this track is. It's very punchy, and you can see it here. Let me show you. Remember when I said that we cannot hear anything under 20? Yeah, we cannot, but it's still coming. Why? Because it's been not necessarily projected by the speaker, because this is part of the sound, but it's still there because it's energy projected by your speakers, okay? And you can see that we got plenty of energy in this area that a good chunk of people, chances are they are unable to hear. And it has nothing to do with you having bad ears. There are great mixers that doesn't necessarily speaking reach the highest of the lowest frequencies. It's more about the way you interact with music. And that takes us to very different levels of the human experience, because there is, if I recall correctly, there is an electronic musician that it's deaf, I think, and uses his feet to feel the music. Please remind me his name, because I can't remember his name right now, but yeah, look it up. It's interesting. And here we got a great, beautiful high mids, or here, sorry. And you can see her voice soaring in this area. Beautiful singer. I gotta tell you, her voice was amazing. I am truly, truly surprised. I can't praise her enough. And the mix is very kinda not hollow, but you can feel the difference between the much more modern instruments compared to the ethnic ones, because those kinda lutes, I don't know the name of those instruments, but please tell me the names underneath in the comment section. But those instruments tend to be kind of plucky sounding. They don't have that much of a lengthy resonance to them. So that's why I mentioned that they are kind of percussive, creating this kind of chaka 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 thing that is very, it sounds like you're riding a horse. And since they were playing some form of galloping sounding rhythm, you can have the picture in your head, right? And but the other thing is that they are using some bow string instruments, such as similar to cellos. They are not cellos, they're not violins. They are, tell me the names, and they have that particular sound to them. And I love how well crafted they are. The sound in the mix is beautiful. It's always adding those beautiful and fun accents to the track, keeping the whole song fun, because fun is the way I would describe the song. Beautiful, very well done. Now, let's take a look at the second section of our analyzer, because I don't think we're going to see something surprising here. And if you know, you know, but this is, if you don't know, well, I will tell you. This is the dynamic range analyzer, and this is what we use to analyze, of course, the loudness of the track throughout time. And this blue blob represents how loud it was at any given point during the reproduction of this track. The higher it goes, the louder it was. And this is important for those of you who don't know, because dynamic range, which is the difference between the lowest with the highest point in volume throughout time, it's a tool that we use in music to project emotion. When something is louder, it's more exciting. When something is quieter, it's much more somber, sexier, or intimate, okay? And in this case, that can go to hell, because this track is loud and proud and fun. You can see that we just got full force since the very beginning, because this is the starting point. This is probably the bass line played by its own, and here you see that we're little by little introducing, probably this is the introduction of her beautiful vocals, and then probably somewhere here is where we got the kick drum, and bam, nothing changed, until we got the drop and we got pushed in into the mosh pit with the loader, the lute solo that was just amazing and surprising and unexpected. And then, if we go to the second section of the analysis, that's the spot on which I stopped the track for the first commentary section, you'll see that nothing dramatically changed until the very end. Because you'll see that the very ending there is some form of push in excitement, because I even did the horn sound, because it kind of went metal for a while. It got a little bit more, more attack driven, and even I can call that they used an electric guitar in this section, just to reinforce the meanness of the track. And you can see that they did the excellent trick of pushing the volume just a tad bit. Not that big of a jump, but big enough for that section to feel more exciting. Why? Because probably they blast this bad boy at the end of the concerts as an encore, because I could see this, and well, I can see the audience going wild with this one. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. So, As I said in the introduction, I usually think of these kind of ethnic clashes with modern stuff kind of gimmicky, because they usually are, but in this case they pulled it off. I like it. It's very well done, very well crafted, as I've said several times, because I'm truly impressed with the quality of the whole production. The mix is fantastic, very much well done under the auspices of pop music. The arrangement and the use of the different ethnic instruments is fantastic. I liked quite a lot how they got this weird interpretation of a blues line with wherever this was, and the use of the techno beat makes sense because it's kind of like the proper fusion between what I could consider to be pop music for these kind of ethnic groups. Okay, and this is me being the terrible oppressive white man that I am. That was a joke, by the way. So thank you for watching, thank you for joining, and if you got any commentary regarding this track, please let me know, and the thought police in the comment section down below. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, because we do this kind of analysis every single week, and you will find more in the channel. At this stage, there's a healthy catalog that you can enjoy for your pleasure. So, with that being said, the only thing left to remind is, as usual, you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about, and remember that I will see you when I see you.